crispy, golden pops of seafood dressed with a tangy, sweet, slightly spicy kind of sauce and lots of fresh herbs. These are my Thai style prawn and fish cakes. So I'm taking the traditional Thai fish cake. We're going to zhuzh it up a little bit. Let's go in with our fish first of all. So I'm using here a snapper, local here in Australia. Any kind of firm white fish is good here. In fact, actually, no, I've done this with salmon too. Salmon is great as well. So really versatile. Use a local fish in your area. And that just goes into your little blender or food processor. And now pulse that fish until you get kind of like it's not really like a light mousse, it's more kind of like a heavy, I guess, puree or paste. Now just scoop that out into a bowl. And now for the prawns. So you could pop these into the food processor as well, but what I actually like is to hand mince them, because then you get a really kind of chunky texture to your fish cake, which makes them seem more homemade, and then you get these like pops of sweet prawn, and you know, it's just better. Now the next ingredient is pretty key in my opinion. You don't have a classic Thai fish cake flavour unless you've got magrut leaves or magrut lime leaves. So that's these guys here. They have such a beautiful, like really light, fresh lime flavour. If you can't get a hold of these in your area, try using some lime zest in here, finely grated. That should do like a pretty good job of the same kind of, you know, essence, if you like. You do want to take the stems out. If you do happen to be able to get a hold of these at your Asian grocer though, buy a whole bunch because they freeze really well. Just keep them indefinitely in the freezer and then you've always got them to hand. Okay, now to slice them up, just kind of roll them into a little cigar shape. And they're quite fibrous, so whenever you're using these, make sure you're either slicing them really thin or really dicing them into very small confetti-like pieces. Now also, to me, you can't have a Thai fish cake without the spice. So Thai red curry paste is what you want here. And the great thing about the curry paste is that you're also getting your added bits and pieces in here. Lemongrass, garlic, shallots, all those lovely flavors. Now in with our seasonings, we want some salt, a really good decent amount of salt here, and some fish sauce as well. And then here's a little sort of secret ingredient, I guess, a little dash of sugar that's going to help to promote some of that lovely sort of caramelization, golden color in the pan, and also just kind of help that sweetness from the fish and the prawn really pop. And then the only binder we're going to use here is a little bit of egg white. Now at this point your spoon pretty much becomes obsolete, because what you need to do is get in here with your hands. Now every good recipe or Thai or Asian recipe comes with some, you know, Asian mum folklore. This one is no exception. So this squelching and kneading with your hands is ultra important. Now I've had this drummed into me from when I was very little because fish cakes was one of my mum's favourite things to make for parties. Party time! But I do think there is a little bit of method to the madness here. So Thai fish cakes are not supposed to be light and fluffy and airy. They're actually a little bit dense. They're all about that sort of meaty fish or seafood flavour and texture as well, and they're bouncy rather than kind of crumbly. So it's this kind of working the mixture that, you know, probably expels as much air as possible, kind of works the proteins, makes it a little heavier, and gets everything a little sticky. And you'll see the texture start to change as you're mixing it with your fingers. And then one final little bit of Asian mum folklore is that you must lift up your entire bit of fish cake mixture and slap it against the bowl multiple times. Slap it really hard, like you're really, you know, having a bad day. Again, I reckon this is all about air expulsion, because if you get a fish cake that puffs up with too much air in the hot oil, when you get it cooling down, it actually kind of wrinkles up and gets like a weird texture. So obviously the Asian mums in all their wisdom figured all of that out, and that's why we have to do the process. Alright, so that's looking pretty good to me. So we've got our fish cake mixture all sorted out. Now if you're doing this for a party, you could do this the day before or the morning of, so that you're not doing everything at the last minute. The other thing we want to get going ahead of time is our tangy spicy dressing. So you could just do a sweet chili with this if you wanted to keep it simple, but I kind of like this one because it's lighter and fresher than your regular sweet chili. So I start off with a chili. Now this is a very mild one. I do tend to sort of stick to the mild ones when I'm doing, you know, dishes for a big party, just in case we've got some kiddies around or people that don't like chili spice as much as me. But you just want to chop this really nice and fine. And to that, you want some fish sauce, some sugar, some white vinegar, and some lime juice. And just give that a really good whisk. Tangy, sweet and tangy with just a little hint of that chili spice, perfect. When you're ready to cook your fish cakes, just get together some hot oil, and you can test if it's hot enough by sticking a wooden spoon in there. And when you can see a nice furious little bubbling there, you know that oil is good to go. Now when it comes to shaping these guys, look, you could go any which way you want. You could do the traditional, like quite sort of small, flat kind of Thai fish cake shape. I like to do like the street food style version of this, where you usually get like a little bag with cucumber and your fish cakes in there, and they're more like sort of small, mini, misshapen kind of little bites, if you like. But to make the process easier, whichever way or shape that you want to do it, the best thing to do is actually wet your hands slightly so you get less stuff sticking to your fingers. So a little bit of water and then just pinch off a little bit, and I like to keep it rough as I said, and then into the oil. The other reason I like these kind of misshapen little pops is that when we go to drizzle that dressing in there, there's lots of little pockets for the dressing to get trapped in that little seafood fish cake. Now, if everything sinks to the bottom, that's okay. Just give it a couple of minutes so that it kind of cooks, and then it'll sort of lift off quite easily. You might need to kind of break them up a little bit too. And now, just 2 or 3 minutes here until we get a nice, deep, golden, crispy exterior, and then we're good to go. All right, just come and have a look at these little guys and girls in here. They are uber cute, totally golden and delicious. Yum. Just drain them really well, then out onto some paper towel. Now don't get too stressed about serving these piping hot. In fact, it's probably better not to. They're quite volcanically hot. So what I like to do is just, you know, continue cooking out the batch, and then I'll just even keep them on the bench top, you know, for up to half an hour before everyone sort of comes. And if they're just sort of lukewarm, that's totally cool, and probably a little better because you don't want people burning themselves. Now the way I like to serve these has a very specific purpose, and that is so that you don't have to put down your drink when you go to eat one of these. So what you need to do is pile all of these up into a tray or onto a bowl or plate. And then for some little pops of like freshness, I love to add a little bit of cucumber. Now you can go in here with a lot of different fresh herbs. I just happen to have some basil. Actually, I wanted Thai basil, but my local market didn't have any, so I'm using regular Italian basil. Totally fine. Mint, coriander, spring onion, any of those things will do. Just like that little extra hint of herbaceousness at the end. And there you go, my friends. Have a look at those colors. I mean, it just says party to me. Now, so that you don't have to put your drink down and you don't have to get your fingers all like greasy and dirty, you can just have a toothpick, get in there, grab a nice little chunk with a cucumber on top. So cute, so dainty. That flavor, like you get hit with that tanginess and then that beautiful kind of double layer of just mild spice, the curry paste through the middle and the chili, and then the fragrance from all the herbs, the lime leaves and the basil, everything. That is just such a perfect little mouthful.